They say try hard like it's a crime, but we keep trying every time. Do or not, there is a try. Yoda told us all along. If trying's wrong, then so are we. Welcome to Try Hard Valley.
Good day to you, citizens of Try Hard Valley, and welcome to episode 12. I have to confess, I've been procrastinating on getting this episode out. Ever since my hysterectomy on July 13th, I've been feeling uncharacteristically shy. That's weird, right? The good news is that I'm now 2 weeks and 1 day post-op and feeling great. I am basically the poster child for ERAS, which stands for Enhanced Recovery After Surgery. Kaiser is very into ERAS. They even sent me an educational video starring, wait for it, Lego minifigures. I'm not making that up. Link in the show notes. I've been following every instruction my medical team gave me and avoiding every single thing they told me not to do. I am an extremely obedient patient. And I have to say, the world feels a little different without a uterus. I've been taking mindfulness walks, feeling incredibly grateful to be healthy, and I'm pleased to report that surgery did not affect my ability to find four-leaf clovers. I was genuinely worried it might. Turns out my weird superpower survived. The first few days after surgery are a blur. I remember waking up burping because they inflate you with air during surgery. They also put a tube down my throat, and surprise, they painted me with orange antiseptic. 24 hours later, I took my first shower, looked down at my swollen orange body and said, "Oh my God, I'm an Oompa Loompa." Actually, I said, "I'm an Oompa Loompa," because my throat was still sore from the breathing tube, so I sounded like one of Marge Simpson's sisters. Very sexy. I want to thank everyone who made my uterus retirement party such a ridiculous delight. My daughter Mila and my husband Dave were amazing co-hosts. Primrose Bakery absolutely nailed my Adioso Uteroso cake. Rancho Grande Taqueria delivered a fantastic taco bar. And the gentleman from A Tasty Freeze slushy drinks and margarita machines was an absolute peach. It was fun supporting so many hardworking local businesses. But the real stars were my friends. People came from every corner of my life. Childhood friends, fellow parents, my book club, shout out Livermore Page Turners, East Bay Musical Society, the local improv community, shout out Name Pending, my 3 running groups, including the Sandy Hernbroth Appreciation Society, which may or may not be an official organization, my gym, my neighborhood, my former coworkers. It was a cosmic convergence of people who probably never would have met otherwise, and seeing them all in one place made my little heart very happy. Okay, enough about my retired uterus. Let's get to today's guest. Chad Kawahara is a lifelong tryhard, and this was such a fun conversation. As you listen, keep an ear out for 3 things. First, the way Yael says the word pasta, like the proud Canadian she is. Second, the moment she casually drops the H-bomb. That's Harvard University for those unfamiliar with the term. And third, the moment Chad casually mentions helping rewrite part of NAFTA. For the younger listeners, NAFTA stands for the North American Free Trade Agreement. And that may or may not have something to do with my next comedy set. That's what we in the podcasting business call a tease. Links, as always, are in the show notes.
Hi, this is Yael with Try Hard Valley. We have a special guest today. We have Chad Kawahara. Welcome, Chad.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. Chad's a super interesting person, and that's why I wanted to have him join us today. I met Chad through a dear friend of ours, Catherine. You were staying at Catherine's house with Airbnb for a little while, right?
Correct.
For a couple months. How great for us to get to the point where we get to be friends, and you and Catherine are great friends. I'd love just a little bit of background from you. So you grew up in Southern Cal.
Grew up in Southern Cal in a very tennis town, Rolling Hills, which was the home of Tracy Austin, Sampras, Lindsay,
Yeah.
Davenport. Actually, contemporaries of mine that I grew up playing with.
Now, did your parents play?
My parents did not play. My sister and I were the only two that played in our family.
And how did that happen?
So it was interesting. I'm Japanese descent, and my parents got us involved in a lot of the Japanese athletics that were in town.
Tell me what Japanese athletics means.
So it's just basically a group of Japanese people that have gotten together that have formed Japanese groups like Japanese baseball, Japanese basketball.
Oh, okay. So playing all different sports.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
And they were just starting a tennis league, and it was called CYTF, California Youth Tennis Foundation.
Okay.
That CYTF wasn't necessarily just an Asian thing, but a group of Asians got together and decided they wanted to join. Through that, my parents got us involved in tennis.
And so did they ever pick it up?
As I got more serious into
Yeah.
it, they picked it up because they would go out and feed balls to me, take me out to the court. They would meet people, and yeah, that was kind of a little meet and greet for them. And
I think my dad learned how to play when I learned. So obviously, for the most part, strokes of people that learn through teachers. And his are a little bit different, but he ended up being a pretty good player without really any coaching.
Yeah.
But he ended up being my biggest fan and my biggest stressor, to be honest with you. I'm not sure if your parents were that way as well.
no, because they didn't play competitive, they really didn't even rally. My dad would rally with me every once in a while.
But it doesn't mean they couldn't tell you what they thought. right?
Yeah, or they didn't have a game plan. They know the strategy behind it, all
Yeah.
the theory behind it. And so they would watch me play, they would see what I did wrong, and they would yell at me a little bit sometimes because sitting there watching you to take lessons, you kind of pick it up. And my parents would see, oh, you're not doing that like you learned in your lesson, and they get mad at me for that.
And so you started playing, and then how did you kind of come to meet all these interesting folks?
Well, junior tournament, and as I said, our Mecca was a hub for a ton of just junior. Like I said, we had Tracy Austin, we had Pete Sampras, we had Lindsay Davenport, 3 number 1 in the world.
Yeah, wasn't Tracy a little older?
She was older, but she was still around. We all took from one guy, Robert Landstart, and so we saw her also because she was taking lessons and still on the tour, still playing.
That's amazing. And then Sampras and Lindsay? I mean, geez. So they were all with the same instructor?
Correct.
This guy obviously knew what he was doing.
Yeah, he was tough.
So you all played together.
Well, we grew up together. We all played together. So there's that just junior rivalry that growing up, there's that competition right there. It's already built into.
Yeah, obviously you didn't play against Lindsay.
No, well, Lindsay and I played doubles together.
Man, she hit the ball.
And yeah, he could hit the ball, so we would rally.
And then obviously we know how well Pete did over the years.
Correct.
So how did you do against him when you played him?
So it's interesting. Pete has an older sister, Stella,
Yes.
and
And she coaches now, I think, still.
at UCLA. So his parents didn't want to have to drive all over the place, taking them to too many tournaments. So Pete played up in the same age division as Stella, so that when they go to tournaments, it's at one location.
Okay, so that's how he got to that next level.
Yeah.
Because he had
He's
to.
always played up.
Interesting.
For some people, it worked really well.
Yeah.
For others, they started to feel the pressure when they had to play kids their own age. He played up, got to the 18, and then turned pro. And so to play somebody his age, it's like an older person playing a younger guy.
That he should have won.
Yeah,
But when
he
you're playing
should.
people that are 3 years older than you, you're like, okay, well, I have nothing to lose.
I started playing tournaments when I was 8.
That's young.
The CYTF I started when I was 5. That was already a part of competition. You had competition within your little league. So even at 5, they made it competitive for you.
All right, so you've been competitive a long time.
Yeah, I started really young. And I just grew up playing. That was all I knew how to do, was just compete.
Well, I'm not going to embarrass you, but you did really well. So tell me what level you got to.
Well, I played in college, I played on the pro tour,
Where did you go to college?
USC, and we won the NCAAs twice.
Wow.
When I was there.
Always had a killer team.
We had a great team. We had a very strong team.
You graduated because then you went off to law school. So did you think, I'm going to go tennis, right? That was your plan?
Actually, no. I'm the youngest of 4.
Okay.
And coming from an Asian family, my older siblings were always like, don't expect mom and dad to support you. You got to get through school. You got to make your money.
Where are you going to get the consistent income from,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Trust me, I'm from a Jewish family. We're very similar. Well, are you going to make money doing this?
Support yourself.
Exactly. It's a good way to be, right?
Yeah.
More conservative.
Yeah. The pressure was never to excel at tennis or be that great, but if you were good at it, perfect.
So you graduated.
Yes. And then I went to law school.
You told me you played in the first round of the U.S. Open, right?
Yeah, I was still in college.
Oh, wow.
When that
Okay.
happened.
Did you have to qualify?
I did not.
That must have been amazing.
Yeah, getting a wild card into any major is so exciting.
Well, if you saw what the British guy just did at Wimbledon, I mean,
Yeah.
that was insane. He came absolutely out of nowhere.
It's fantastic that somebody out of the blue came in. Because it's always exciting to see new names and new faces come out.
Did he graduate?
He did.
Tell me what you think. There's a lot more college grad guys doing pretty well on the tour these days, right?
I think for certain kids, it's a great route to go. Certain kids just don't develop as much as others, physically and mentally. And the college is a great way for a lot of guys to go. I think to be on the pro tour, you have to be that narcissistic person.
I have to say, whether I love Coco or not, she's been super mature the whole way through. She's a good loser, and she's very gracious, and I'm very impressed with that. You know,
Yeah,
she's always
she did
been
a
like
great
that.
job.
They did. They
With
did.
Both of them also being athletes. I think they prepare her really well for the type of conditions and spots she's going to be in.
Yeah, I'm impressed with her demeanor.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had a blast for 8 months? Did you have fun?
Yeah.
Did you travel internationally?
Actually, that's pretty much all I did because you have to go to these unknown locations.
Right, like these ITFs?
Yeah, and try and get your points in these tiny little towns.
The funny thing, I say you play basketball, and you have a team, right? You always have a team.
Yeah.
But tennis is always very
Individual.
individual, which is more overwhelming. And you're like, I'm going to go try being on the tour. Who's with me? I'm by myself. I'm doing this alone. And it's a lot.
It is. But like I said, you form these friendships and these bonds, and you never know who's going to make it and who will be the next Pete Sampras, or who will be the next one
Yeah.
coming forward. You become a journeyman because you just don't know. I mean, you basically live out of your bag.
It's not fancy.
No, definitely.
I always had that, if I win, I'm eating this again. That breakfast sort of thing.
I didn't think about that stuff.
It's ridiculous, right? Because that's not why you won, but
I think I enjoyed food too much that it was like, oh, I don't want to have that 2 days in a row.
See, Chad has changed his thinking because he's now a vegan for the last 30 days. I told him I'm not sure we can be friends anymore. But he looks great, so obviously something's going well. But no cheese cravings, huh?
No cheese. Well,
Really?
now, actually, I do have a lot of the food cravings, but I think just being an athlete, I've learned how to discipline myself eating wise.
I'm disciplined to work out and to be competitive and to make sure I'm in good shape. The eating thing, it comes and goes.
Yeah, I think at like 15, we had to start sending our meal plan into the USTA and letting them know what we ate.
Really? Were they going to say no pasta for you?
They put you on a diet.
Oh.
They want you to be at your top ability to perform. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Canada wasn't that tough on us. Maybe it would have been a good thing.
me.
But I could do 10 pull-ups back when I was 15. Now I can't even lift myself up to that bar. Maybe vegan is the way to go. So you finished that. It sounds like a cool experience.
Okay, Cole.
And then you're like, okay, I'm going to go to law school. Was that always the plan?
Actually, no. When I entered college, I was pre-med and quickly figured out that
Blood's not your thing. Okay.
it wasn't interesting to me. Then I switched it over to law, international business, and I wanted to go to law school.
Was it easy just to get into Harvard?
No, I mean, that's a tricky question because I always say you can get into Harvard. You just have to put the time and effort in doing it. A lot of people are scared of being rejected.
Okay, you're a little
But they-
honest, but we'll go with that.
Well, I mean, everybody has the same ability to get it. Educationally, everybody gets the same education, just at different rates. So you kind of have to figure out how hard do you have to work to get there.
Okay, I like this. You're being very modest. It's very sweet.
But it's like being a pro tennis player.
Sure.
Like, how hard are you going to work to be a pro tennis
Okay,
player?
but at some point, it's not enough. Right?
And at some point, it's not enough to be a pro tennis player either.
Yeah, that's what I meant. So the skills there,
They
yeah.
don't want somebody that's just going to go there for their education. They want somebody that has the ability to make a name for the school.
So were you pumped to go there?
Yeah. So I got in as an undergrad.
You did?
Yeah.
And you didn't go?
And I didn't go.
Oh my God. Why?
Well, so there was a couple. One was I told my parents I didn't want to have any debt coming out of school.
Okay.
So I wanted to choose a school that was going to give me a full scholarship.
Because Harvard doesn't give tennis scholarships.
They don't give out
Okay,
tennis
that's fair.
scholarships.
Yep.
And they wouldn't give me a full academic scholarship. I only had 2 schools that were giving me full academic scholarships.
Okay. But you went for the tennis scholarship?
So initially I didn't. I started off at Rice on a full scholarship.
For academic,
Uh-huh.
not tennis?
Not tennis.
Really?
Yeah. And got there and just figured out the tennis program wasn't what I was looking for.
You obviously transferred to the right school.
Yeah.
So did you end up getting a full tennis scholarship at USC?
No, I was still on academic.
Yeah, because for men, no matter how good you are, it's always harder to get a full scholarship, right?
Yeah.
Because they're always looking at the football team with Title IX and women. They always want to make things fair.
Exactly.
So women, it's a lot easier. Men, even if you're the bomb, it's still a challenge, right?
And for me, it worked out really well because the coach then didn't have to give me a scholarship and had the ability to attract somebody else for a tennis scholarship. But I also had some perks from that also. Because I was on academic scholarship, I had to keep my grades up, which meant my education came before tennis. So if I had to study, it was like, okay, I can't go to this practice because...
Oh, interesting. Well, you couldn't go to this bar because... So tell me a little about how your experience was at law school.
Well, law school is not very different as far as competitiveness. It was very competitive in law schools. You felt like you were fighting on the tennis court. So to me, it didn't feel any different than what I was already used to doing because I had to study to get it and I had to study to take tests. I had to study to do the same things.
You must have had some interesting professors, though, right? I imagine they all worked for large law firms and things like that, or...
As far as getting to know the professors, it was different than undergrad. Because undergrad was just like, they were trying to push you through to get it done through your undergrad core classes.
And the classes are a lot bigger, right?
A lot bigger,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
you don't really get to know the instructor. But grad school, you really get to know the professors. And they really change your outlook on things that you hated doing. Like, to me, I hated to write. But one of the legal professors were like, you got to just make it a game. You got to try and write like you're trying to solve a mystery.
And these are like legal briefs, right?
Yeah. Create loopholes for a client.
So make it more fun. Okay.
Like a scavenger hunt. These attorneys have to go through your paperwork and try and find these little...
Interesting.
There's things like that just made it more appealing and more fun.
You probably made some great contacts too, I imagine.
Oh.
You graduated from there and then you practiced for a number of years, right?
Practiced for 10 years.
And where were you?
I came back to the West Coast. I got into contract law. And then I went to FedEx.
Really?
I was based in San Diego.
I worked there for 10 years.
I was in charge of opening up the U.S.-Mexico border office. I was part of the team that also helped rewrite part of NAFTA.
Okay.
So that was the biggest reason why they put me down
Wow.
in San Diego.
So you worked for that company to what, 01?
Till about 03, and that's when I got out.
How come?
So that's when almost my 10-year mark from playing tennis. And at that point, I was like, oh, STA National Men's Open is in San Diego. Let me just play it and see what happens.
Really?
Yeah. I was almost... And so I entered it, and I got to the finals.
Had you been playing regularly up until
No,
then?
I had not picked up a racket. I thought, okay, let's just see where I'm at. Just enter this. Just go on adrenaline. So entered it and got to the finals. And everybody was like, who the hell is this person going to play? And that's how I got back into tennis. From just that one tournament, a lot of the junior parents from San Diego were like, would you work with my kid, my son? And these kids were pretty high. Right. That's interesting because I never thought that I would ever teach. My thought was I would own a tennis club. So I never really thought about teaching or having juniors. But as soon as I got these juniors, I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. I got back into tennis slowly that way. And within a year of teaching one kid, I had 10 other kids that were nationally ranked already.
And then when did you get in with Head?
So I got in with Head technically 6 years ago. I was working with them prior to that at one of their ad staff programs. 20 is when they sponsored me. And then around 2019, 2020 is when I started working for them.
And you were
In
at that point. So you were kind of doing both then. You were teaching a bunch and you were doing that. The owning the tennis club thing went out the wayside.
Yeah, just because everything's so damn expensive.
Yeah.
Property. Courts were going away. Pickleball was coming up. Tennis was the dying sport.
You don't feel that way now, do you?
I don't. I feel like pickleballers are still trying to take over tennis courts.
Slowing down a little bit.
But we still have lost a lot of courts.
I totally agree with that. And I can't believe they gave them up. Here's the thing I think that's happening, though. Everybody was trying it, right? Brand new, oh my God, this is cool, everybody can play it. And then I think what happened is a lot of the older folks who had never been active in anything in their lives, suddenly out there injuring themselves everywhere, right? Because you go to the doctors, oh yeah, we have all these pickleball people now, but they weren't the athletes of yesteryear, right? Like us who had played the sport. So there's people that have no athletic ability, and they're doing okay, but then they're injured because they're moving ways they didn't know.
Yeah.
So I think they're maybe not doing it as much, and then maybe the rah-rah is not as there, or maybe people are playing other games like padel. You have to be athletic and good.
Padel is definitely a lot harder than
It
pickleball.
is. But it doesn't seem to me as many new people are starting it.
Well, and the craze seems to have fallen off a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it was great because it was small enough to be able to build a court in your backyard.
One tennis court is 4 pickleball courts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So during the pandemic, when it really hit, it was great because, like I said, you could build a court almost anywhere.
And that's when I started
Yeah.
playing it. And by the way, I will never give up tennis. I mean, pickleball is a fun thing to play, right?
great.
So you've been doing Head, and you moved up here. How long has it been now?
2 years.
Has it been that long?
It has.
And what made you move up to the area?
The guy that handled this territory retired, and so this territory opened up, and they offered it to me, and I said, "Sure, let's go ahead and do it." I had just lost both parents, and this came up.
I'm so sorry. You lost both your parents?
Within a year of each
Oh,
other.
that's horrible.
Yeah, they lived a long time.
Still, your
Yeah,
parents.
It's rough.
But you
I-
have a few siblings still.
I do, and I figured, let's get away from Southern Cal.
Yeah.
Start again. Start new.
Good for you.
It's been good. Different, but good. Would you go back to your hometown?
At this point, I don't know. I'd like to go there and see my family as much as possible. But it'd be like starting from scratch. My sister belongs to the very coolest tennis club in Vancouver called Vancouver Lawn. And it's just brilliant. It's all tennis. They could not even get pickleball passed playing there. She wanted some because she likes it. She's probably got like 30 plus people to play with that at her level, which is insane. And she and I are about the same level, right?
Yeah.
Obviously her share is better. That being said, we were supposed to look at my serve. By the way, just so you know how good a coach Chad is, I haven't been able to hit a serve like a human being in about 10 years. He gave me a lesson for like 30 minutes, and let's be clear, granted, it's still got a lot to work on it, but it made more sense. And honestly, nobody's been able to help me figure it out. And we were going to go out. I'm going to hold you to that still. And you'll see sometime on Instagram, I'll do a little post. But honestly, just a few things he said made a huge difference. So if anybody's out in the Bay and they want somebody who's a rock star, this is the guy. Yeah, our big group of listeners. To be fair, though, we have 8,000 downloads. I have to ask our question. I've forgotten already because we've been digging in. But we always like to ask everybody, what are you trying hard to do? What are you trying hard to do with your life?
Interesting question. I guess for me, I would have to say probably growing the sport of tennis again.
I like that.
I think that's why I got back into the industry. When I worked for the USTAA, they were really pointing out, oh God, we dropped 19, 28 as far as sports popularity.
20?
Yeah.
Are you kidding
We were
me?
behind walking.
We're behind walking? How long ago was this?
This is 93?
Walking was more fun than tennis.
Yes. More people were
That's
walking.
walking for sport
Yeah,
was it
for sport.
than
The
tennis.
speed walking.
Speed walking
Yeah.
was more fun.
Correct.
Wow, that is
I
sad.
heard those statistics. That's kind of when I decided, this was something that I've done all my life. This is something that I think we should be able to keep
Yeah,
around.
I love that. I saw you working with some of the kids that are pretty solid around here.
Yeah.
Are you doing quite a bit of that?
I don't do a lot of it. just because head takes up so much of my
It's so much time in the day, right?
Correct.
Yeah, but you still like it?
Because I can be selective with who I do enjoy.
He's tough out there, by the way. I'm like, he's really nice to me, but these poor little 13-year-old kids running around, he's tough, man.
Gotta be.
Yeah, but I love it. I think you're really interesting. More so than most.
We didn't even scratch the surface. We only did tennis.
Well, we're going to have to come back. But you're very humble, too. I really appreciate you sitting down with me for a few minutes.
No problem.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for listening to Try Hard Valley's podcast this week. Chords, Contracts, and Coaching with Chad Kawahara, Full Circle. It was great to get his insight into his life and his teaching, tennis on the tour, going to Harvard Law, and full circle back into coaching and working for the head brand. Please subscribe to our podcast on Substack and listen to us on any other platform that works for you. Thanks so much.
We gave it all, we took the swing, we over